Hello, and welcome to the Lucy Liu Show, the fueling station for your mind, business, and life. And now, here's your host, Lucy Liu.
Hello, beautiful souls. Your host, Lucy Liu here, wishing you a day full of sunny smiles and happy thoughts. Today, I have a special guest who I really admire. She was born in Hong Kong, raised in England, and now resides in Los Angeles. Didi Wong is an award-winning international keynote speaker, Hollywood film and TV producer, serial entrepreneur, business mentor, angel investor, and multi-best-selling author. Didi has been a speaker worldwide, was a resident speaker on the Think and Grow Rich Legacy World Tour, and has been featured in numerous outlets, including Oprah magazine. So without further ado, let's learn from Didi about how to get into speaking. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Didi.
Oh, I am so happy to be here, Lucy. And I'm always so honored when I am on a podcast with an Asian female.
You know what? Like I said, I've followed you for years. You're truly an inspiration. You are a speaker. How did you get into speaking?
So I first hired a mentor, somebody that I watched speaking, and I was just so enamored by his words and his message that I was like, wow, I really could learn a lot from him. And I wasn't even thinking about becoming a speaker at that time. I just want to have a mentor. And if that was, I know this is going to be a 15-minute or so podcast, but if there's one thing that you can take away is to get yourself a mentor. That's number one, right off the bat. I want to give you some value. Then once I hired him, he saw so much in me. And he referred me to a couple of people who actually was looking for a speaker to be in a documentary, a movie documentary. And so out of thousands of people they interviewed, I got the part. And they actually asked me if I wanted to be the entrepreneur, the salesperson, or the speaker. And I said, no, I am kind of all three, but speaking will be the one that will challenge me. So I got off on my journey as a speaker for this movie. And it really shows how green I was at the beginning, because in the beginning of the movie, by the way, it's called Impact. And they called me up, as a surprise. And I flubbed on my words. I couldn't even say the word motivation on the stage. And all these people were just staring up at me and it's like, who the hell is this girl? And that was like my moment when I was like, oh my gosh, very scary. Most people find public speaking very scary. And throughout the movie, I actually had to do my own homework to find myself stages. This is the part where I talk about really investing in myself. I spent a lot of money learning how to become a great speaker. And I really think if you are listening and thinking about becoming a speaker, think about investing in yourself first. And so I did take a course, which was a specific course about how to sell from on stage. That was $50,000. I obviously hired my mentor that I told you. It cost me some money. And kind of on the journey, I also took different courses and really understood the business of speaking. Because speaking is not just, okay, you get on the stage and you speak well, right? It's really about what do you do beforehand to prep to get on the stage, and what do you do to follow up after you get off the stage. So there is really a whole business around speaking that I would love to talk about. But I also want this podcast, since we are really focusing on speaking, I want you to not think about speaking as just a professional career. I want you to think about speaking as something that you have to do every single day of your life. Whenever you actually open your mouth, you are speaking. And if you can actually put that thought into when you are forming sentences, when you are pausing, when your volume is louder or softer, and the pace of how you speak, and the ums, and buts, all the things that you put in between while you're thinking, all of those things come into play in every single day conversation. And I want you to think about when you want to become just a successful person in general, no matter if you are going to a job or if you are an entrepreneur or if you are a boss, you have to know how to speak well. And this is where I come in. I just love talking about communication in general. How do you articulate? How do you speak succinctly? How do you become a really elegant speaker so that people want to continue listening to you and don't find you annoying? Is it your accent? Is it your tone? Are you speaking too high pitched? Are you speaking too low pitched? It's really a musicality to the ears. And that is the joy that I find in my speaking career, because I get to play on stage, and I like to not completely prepare myself and let spontaneity take over and let the energy of the audience take over and speak with heart and in the moment. That was a long answer for you, Lucy.
I love it. We can tell just even from the audio of your energy and your charisma on stage already, right? You've spoken at some of the very large stages, such as the Grow and Rich tour.
Think and Grow Rich, yep.
Yes. Were those by referrals?
Okay, so this is a great question, Lucy, because everybody who wants to become a speaker, you don't just work on your craft and your technique, which is important because you have to show that you're good, but they don't think about working on their business side of it, which is to acquire stages. This is where Didi Wong comes in as a speaking coach, because I always tell people the thing that sets me apart from many other speaking coaches is that I have the stages for you. I know the right people. I can get you to become an international speaker, to get you really practicing your craft as much as you can. And no, when I first started, I had to really go out to network. So I put a lot of time in showing up. In like back then when we were allowed to be in groups and in events, I would go to as many as I could. And I would practice the art of my elevator pitch, where I am inviting and where I'm actually expressing myself as a speaker. So I remember the very first time I went to a National Speakers Association down in OC in California. It was very first time I actually really out loud introduced myself as a speaker. And it was really cool because then people were like, oh, you're a speaker too? So what do you speak about? What is your message? That was like, oh, what is my message? I started really thinking, but it's through the experience of going out to the world and interacting with other people and having them ask you questions that you discover what kind of speaker you want to be. Right. And so, through that, I would say, I talk about body image. At that time, I was talking about body image. I talked about, being a mother and somebody who actually works. Then it evolved into so many different things. And now I'm kind of set in my path of wanting to talk about communication and elevator pitch and articulation and all of that. And really, how do you become a speaker? But yeah, you just have to network, because you want to increase your relationship capital. That would be the second takeaway I want to give you in this podcast. You really want to go out and be seen as a speaker. And once you're seen as a speaker, you know your topics, you know your message, then you just be like, oh, do you know, have you been speaking? Inquire about where other people have spoken, because if they have spoken in the women's conference, let's say, just make it up, right, then they would know the promoter of that or the organizer of that event, and then you would just say, oh, I would love to be introduced, and then that you just get introduced and network, introduce and network. And then you get to the stages. So that would be the easiest way to go about it without going online and literally typing in conferences or meetup, whatever you do to find stages. And of course, having a mentor like myself really is the easiest way, because you'll get the coaching, but you also already get. I would say whenever you think about hiring a mentor, this is what I always say to my clients or when I speak, when you hire a mentor, you're not hiring the mentor for just his or her knowledge, because nowadays with YouTube, with seminars galore and summits galore, you can learn a lot from just attending these summits. But when you find a mentor who actually has the network and the relationship capital, that's the one you want to hire, because you want you to increase your own network in the speaking business, and for them to personally introduce you to other people in the business, so that they can put you on stage.
Absolutely. What is the best compliment you have ever received from speaking?
I want to be like you.
Ah,
There's so many. I want to be like you stuck out, but also, oh my gosh, you made me think about my relationship with my father, and I really want to go and reach out to him now. Those are the kind of things, because those are immediate, impactful, take action items that people are literally coming to tell me. So I shared back in March, I was in Egypt speaking, and I received an award from the government for just recognizing me and helping a lot of female entrepreneurs all around the world. And I shared a story with my mom and dad actually in the audience. I hadn't had a very good relationship with my mom for a few years back before March. And I pretty much confessed to my mom in front of the whole audience, which was around, there were like maybe 30 tables of 10 around there. It was a huge ballroom. And my mom was there right in front, and she was staring at me, and I just confessed. And my title was to talk about self-confidence and self-care. And I was confessing to the audience, I am not the person to really talk to you about self-care right now, because I haven't been eating and drinking much water in the last 48 hours, because I was so afraid to come up on the stage to tell you my story about my relationship with my mother. And my mother is in the audience, and she's staring at me, and I can just feel the intense, emotions in the room. And I basically confessed and said sorry to my mom and apologized for everything that's happened between us in the last few years, and that I don't want to suffer anymore. I want to be a great daughter. I want to have a great relationship with my mother. And she was still staring at me, disapproving that I'm airing my dirty laundry out to the world. And but it was because of my boldness in doing so that I now have a really great relationship with my mom. And, it's just those kind of things. And then, of course, a lot of people ran up to me afterwards and just said, I have the same relationship with my, like you and your mom with my dad. I have the same one with my brother. I have the same one with one of my friends that I grew. So it opened up a can of worms for a lot of people to think about whom in their lives do they have, a relationship that needs to be amended, right? And so that was really impactful, because I was able to help people think about, just being the bigger person to apologize, and let's have a good relationship for the rest of our lives with whoever it is that they love, right? That's the power of speaking, people.
absolutely. Was there anything along the way you wish you had known before you started?
Nothing bad, just how amazing speaking really can be. You might initially think of it as, oh, I can make lots of money from it, because most people are driven by money. But actually, if you have stories to tell, it doesn't matter if it's a story that, oh my God, I got raped when I was 16, or oh my God, I lost a leg, or anything so tragic, right? That you only have those stories to tell. Everyday people have stories to tell, just like mine was. Very simple relationship with my mother, right? So I would love for you guys to think about not feeling like you are not worthy just because you don't have any special stories to tell, because everyone's story is special to tell. I think if I had known that, I would probably have gone into the world of speaking maybe more with more open arms than I did. It was scary at the beginning, and don't worry, because people, when they look at you, they will judge you. That's number one, but they will judge you in a way that they would connect with you. So it's a good thing, is what I'm saying. Like, put yourself out there. I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and you are going to attract your right tribe to your world. That's really beautiful.
And when you first started speaking, did you give free speeches?
Oh my gosh, yes. You have to. You have to give free speeches so you can practice your craft. Right now, in fact, podcasts and audio podcasts, visual podcasts, TV shows, radio shows, there's so many speaking platforms out there where you can really practice your craft, tell your story and see how people react and then, adjust it to how you would want it. But yes, absolutely. Just like anything, especially becoming an entrepreneur, you have to do some freebies before you actually get paid. In fact, you have to do a lot of freebies. So there are three types of speakers. One is the keynote, which is a celebrity like Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins, right? And then there's a second type, which is pay to play, which is the type that I began in, where you pay the organizers a fee to get on their stage and they bring the people, which is really actually very good for monetizing. If you have a course, if you have one-on-one coaching or group coaching, you can really monetize from doing a pay-to-play model. And then the third one is just an inspirational speaker where you speak with no fee, no expectations, and you go out and you just tell your story to impact.
Can you be all three?
Yes, you can be all three. You will take a little bit of a while to get to the keynote speaking, because keynotes are usually people who have done it and are successful and really have something to say and they're known. I'm only just getting into the keynote speaking world, loving it, but it's something that it takes a little time to get to. So you would probably want to sit in the comfortable pay-to-play situation first, so you can get your name out there, work on your PR, work on your marketing, and get your name known before people will actually hire you to speak in a keynote. Unless you are very niche, and if you specifically have something to teach that is really only you who would know how to, get to space in a rocket ship or something. I don't know. Something very specific, then you would be hired as a keynote, even if your name is not known, but your expertise is what's needed.
So you have a book called Success Breakthroughs with co-author Jack Canfield. Did that come before or after speaking?
It came before. I do have a PR agency. And by the way, third takeaway is please don't forget to work on your PR and marketing, because if you have a gift and you're not sharing it with the world, why would anybody want to listen? It's like saying somebody has a beautiful voice and you don't use it, and to make people feel good listening to you sing, then, it's a waste, right? So definitely work on that. And that was the book I did with Jack Canfield was really a PR project for the sake of getting my name out there, for people to start recognizing me with people like Jack Canfield, who is a legend in the personal development world. And so when I say, oh yeah, I have a co-authored book with Jack Canfield, they would then immediately lift up my credibility and trust me more because I did write a book with him, right? So those are the kind of projects that I started doing just to really get myself start being known as a speaker, as an author, as a best-selling author, so that people actually would respect me and give me an opportunity to even speak. Yeah, so that was first before I actually got to any stages.
Yeah, so you are obviously an unshakable optimist like me. Are there any low days in life where you need to reboot yourself?
Oh, yes. Just like any humans, just because we are the title that we are optimistic, bubbly, happy, mostly. Of course, I have 4 children. And those days, I just decide, you know what, I won't work today. I need to give myself some love. I may go, before COVID, I may go and get myself a massage. Just even going out to just get a manicure, pedicure would make me feel better, and listening to some music and just watching some TV show. All of those come into play when it comes to your confidence and your self-care. And those are the things that I actually say you must do on a daily basis so that you can be the best you can be when you go out and mingle in the world. So please don't do it just when you are sad and depressed and have a bad day. Do it on the good days as well.
Yeah. And is there a quote that you go by?
I do. I have a quote that I love. It's my quote. And I say, success is nothing without anyone to share it with. So if you are single, if you are lonely, I would say put a lot of energy to try to find yourself somebody or a group, a supportive group that you really can tap into on a daily basis. Because if you have exciting news to share or if you have sad news to share, you really want somebody who cares for you to share it with, and I'm not just talking about mommy, daddy, sisters, brothers. I'm talking about a loved one. I say, if I'm so successful, but I don't have a partner to share it with, what is it all for, right? I love to share it with the world. But at the end of the day, I come back to my husband, who is the foundation of my success.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much for all your wisdom.
Thank you, Lucy. I wish you a good continuation of this beautiful podcast that you have. I would love to hear from everybody and who's listening, who's been listening. And I really thank you again for asking me to be on your show.
Yeah. So where can everyone find you at, Didi?
Social media, I'm at Didi Official on Facebook, on IG and Twitter, and LinkedIn, I'm at Didi Wong. So that's the easiest way to get to me. If you want to write to me, you could just write to Didi@didiwong.com, which is my email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
To all the beautiful souls listening, thank you for joining me on this episode of The Lucy Liu Show. When I'm not podcasting, I am coaching high-achieving women in life transitions, getting unstuck, kissing overwhelmed goodbye, and living a more joyful and fulfilled life through strategic goal setting and mindset transformation. It would mean the world to me if you subscribe, rate, or share this with a friend. And don't forget to join me for the next episode. Remember, there is always a way and more blessings are coming your way. For free resources and show notes, head over to LucyLuCoaching.com.